Listen carefully, because what I'm about to share may disturb you. It may make you question everything you've believed until now. And that's exactly why it's important. Discomfort is the first sign that something deep inside you is beginning to awaken. Every morning you open your eyes, rise from bed, and go through your routine believing you are awake. But I ask you, are you truly awake? Or have you merely exchanged one dream for another, the dream of daily unconsciousness? Your body is active, your eyes are open, but your mind remains trapped in a deep sleep, and the most tragic part is that you don't even realize it. This sleep I'm talking about is not the sleep of your body, but the sleep of your consciousness. It is the sleep of identification, of attachment, of living through illusions. You define yourself by your name, your profession, your possessions, and your social roles. I am John. I am a teacher. I am a father. I am wealthy, or I am poor. And in clinging to these labels, you lose touch with who you truly are. Behind these identities lies your real self, the pure awareness that is watching all these roles and stories unfold. But this self is buried under layers upon layers of false images. Like an actor trapped inside countless costumes, you don't even know which mask you are wearing at any given moment. The real you remains hidden, forgotten, asleep. Now look inside your mind right at this moment. How many thoughts are rushing by? How many inner voices chatter endlessly, judging, comparing, blaming, worrying? This relentless mental noise is the soundtrack of sleep. The conditioned, mechanical mind caught in repetitive patterns. It's like a broken record, playing the same tune of fears, desires, memories, and plans without pause. And how do you respond? You react automatically. Someone praises you, and pride swells inside you. Someone criticizes you, and anger or sadness erupts. Where is your awareness in this? Where is your freedom? You are like a puppet on strings, pulled by every external event, and yet you call this puppet show your life. What you call living intensely is often just reacting intensely. But real awakening has nothing to do with emotional highs or lows. It has nothing to do with frantic busyness or chasing fleeting pleasures. Awakening means clarity, the clear, calm awareness that watches without getting entangled. It means presence, being fully here without being dragged by the storm of thoughts and emotions. But the truth is, you are afraid to awaken. This fear is natural because awakening means seeing the truth about yourself. It means recognizing that everything you have built your identity on, your job, your relationships, your possessions, and your social roles, is ultimately an illusion. And who wants to admit that they have lived their life in illusion? So, you choose to keep sleeping. You choose the safety of the known, even if the known is a prison. You decorate the walls of that prison, call it home, and forget that there is a vast, infinite world beyond the bars. The ego is the guardian of this sleep. It whispers in your ear, "You're fine as you are. You are in control. You know who you are." And you believe it, because believing is easier than questioning. It's more comfortable to sleep than to wake. But I tell you now, There is no true peace in sleep. There is no real happiness in unconsciousness. While you remain asleep, you will suffer. You will keep searching for fulfillment outside yourself, running in circles, thinking you're moving forward when you're only spinning your wheels. Suffering is the alarm clock of life. Every pain, every frustration, every moment of despair is a call to wake up. But you hit the snooze button. You find distractions, excuses, blame others, anything to avoid facing the truth. You are asleep. And so life passes, decades of deep sleep, interrupted only by brief flashes of awareness that you quickly suppress. You grow old sleeping, fall ill sleeping, and one day you will die sleeping without ever having experienced what it means to be truly alive. This is not pessimism, it's realism. It's seeing the human condition without romanticism, without illusions. Only when you see the problem clearly can you begin to seek the solution. The awakening is possible, here, now, in this very moment. It's not something far away or requiring special preparation. It requires only one thing: brutal honesty with yourself, the courage to admit, I am just asleep.
Now that we have faced the harsh reality of sleeping through life, let's talk about awakening. But first, let me clear one thing. Awakening is not a one-time event, a magical moment when suddenly everything changes and you become enlightened. No, awakening is a continuous process, a moment-to-moment choice to be conscious instead of mechanical. How does one awaken? The answer is simple, but the practice is difficult. Start by observing. Just observe. Observe your thoughts without identifying with them. Observe your emotions without being carried away. Observe your reactions without acting on them automatically. Does this sound easy? Try it. Just try to observe your mind for 5 minutes without getting lost in the flood of thoughts. You will find it one of the hardest things you've ever attempted. Why? Because the mind does not want to be observed. The ego resists exposure. Your mind will throw 1,000 distractions at you. This is a waste of time, it will say. You have important things to do. And you will believe it, because it's easier to stay busy and distracted than to stop and look inside. But persist. Observation is the key. When you observe without judgment, without analysis, without trying to change, something magical happens. The thing observed begins to dissolve. Automatic patterns lose their grip. The space between you and your thoughts grows. In that space lies freedom. In that space lives your true self. Not the I constructed by the mind, but the pure awareness that has always been there, waiting to be recognized. Self-knowledge is not about accumulating facts about yourself, nor about endless therapy sessions dissecting your past. It is something far more immediate and direct. It is the question, who am I? And refusing to accept any mental answer. Because every mental answer is just more sleep, more identification. Who are you when you strip away all identities? When you stop defining yourself by your past, your future, your achievements, your failures? What remains? That what remains is who you truly are. It is indescribable, undefinable, limitless. But awakening also demands courage. Courage to be alone with yourself. Courage to let go of psychological crutches. Courage to live without constant approval, without guarantees, without certainty. You have lived in fear. Fear of death, fear of loneliness, fear of failure, fear of judgment. And that fear keeps you asleep. Because in sleep, you can pretend you are safe. But safety is an illusion. Life is uncertainty, and only when you embrace uncertainty can you truly live. Abandon the search for extraordinary experiences. Awakening is not about seeing lights, having visions, or feeling ecstatic highs. That is still the mind creating distractions, more sleep. True awakening is extraordinarily ordinary. It is simply being present, conscious, without the fog of mechanical mind. Simplify your life. The more complex your outer life, the harder it is to maintain inner clarity. I am not saying you should quit everything and live in a cave. I'm saying question every complexity you have created. Is it necessary, or is it just another way to stay busy so you don't have to face the void? The void scares you, doesn't it? Silence disturbs you. That is why you fill every moment with activity, noise, distraction. But it is in the void that fullness reveals itself. It is in the silence that the true voice can be heard. Stop searching for masters, methods, systems. All these can help at first, but at some point, they become crutches. Truth is not in any book, any teaching, any guru. Truth is inside you, always has been. Masters only point the way. You must look. And when you start awakening, and you will know when it happens, do not cling to the experience. Do not make awakening another identity. Now I am awake. That is just more sleep, more ego dressed in new clothes. True awakening is humble. It is silent. It does not need to announce itself. It does not need to convert anyone. It is simply a state of being, as natural as breathing. You can continue living your normal life, work, relate, fulfill responsibilities, but now with awareness. Now knowing you are none of the roles you play. You are the awareness witnessing all roles. That is freedom. Not freedom from something, but freedom in everything. Freedom in the midst of circumstances, not despite them. Because circumstances cannot touch who you truly are. So I ask you again, will you continue sleeping? Or are you ready to awaken? The choice is always yours. Every moment, every breath, you choose consciousness or mechanical living, presence or absence, awakening or sleep. There is no rush. Awakening is not going anywhere. It is always available, always waiting. When you're ready, truly ready to let go of illusions, it will be there. But do not wait to be ready. Start now, at this moment, with simple observation, simple questioning, a simple pause in the mental rush. Because life is too short to live asleep, and you have slept enough.
You want to awaken, you say. But have you ever asked yourself why you haven't already? Why, after hearing the words, after understanding the logic, after nodding in agreement, why do you still live the same life, think the same thoughts, repeat the same patterns? The answer is simple. You are terrified of silence. You are terrified of being alone with yourself. You are terrified of the emptiness that comes when all distractions are stripped away. And so you fill your life with noise, not just sound, but mental noise, emotional noise, spiritual noise. You fill your days with plans, social media, gossip, goals, television, ambitions, arguments, relationships, anything to avoid that moment of raw stillness. Because in that stillness, the truth waits, and truth is not always gentle. You see, awakening is not just a sweet, blissful revelation. Often, it begins as a kind of dying, a painful unraveling, because everything you believe to be true about yourself must be questioned and ultimately abandoned. Your self-image, your desires, your fears, your hopes, your story, all must go. And what remains? Silence. Not a quiet moment, but a silence so deep it roars. A silence that strips you naked of identity. A silence that doesn't comfort you, it confronts you. And that silence is unbearable for most, so you run back to the world. You run back to your stories, back to your relationships, your opinions, your causes, your dramas. You convince yourself they are important, that you are needed, that your responsibilities won't allow you to stop and reflect. But deep down, you know, you are hiding. That's what most of human activity is, a sophisticated escape plan. Even your spiritual seeking can be an escape. Attending satsangs, reading scriptures, chasing gurus, these too can become distractions if they prevent you from facing your inner silence directly. You think you are looking for enlightenment, but what you're really doing is looking for comfort, for safety. You want a version of truth that doesn't shake your foundations. But real truth will burn down everything false. That includes 99% of what you call your life. That is why silence is frightening, because silence does not let you lie to yourself. It holds up a mirror that shows you not what you want to see, but what is. And it will not blink, not soften, not adjust itself to suit your preferences. It simply waits. The question is, can you stop running? Can you sit with yourself without distraction, without phone, without music, without books, without people, even without thoughts? Can you just sit and be with whatever arises? Try. You'll see how quickly the discomfort comes. But that discomfort is not your enemy. It is your doorway. It is the invitation to awaken. The ego tells you, don't stop, don't look, don't feel. But the truth says, stand still, open your eyes, let it all come. This is why awakening is not popular. It is not marketable, it doesn't sell, because it doesn't offer entertainment, it offers annihilation. But in that annihilation is your freedom. The silence you fear is the womb of a new life. A life not driven by compulsion, not shaped by conditioning, not chained to approval or success. A life of clarity, of peace, of freedom. So, I'm not here to comfort you. I'm not here to help you feel better about your sleeping state. I am here to shake you, to strip you, to return you to that terrifying, glorious, unspeakable silence. You don't need more stimulation. You don't need more information. You need to stop. Completely. And in that stopping, something sacred reveals itself, not outside you, but as you. That is the beginning of real awakening.
You've lived your whole life under a name, a set of preferences, a bundle of memories, a narrative passed down to you by your parents, your culture, your religion, your education system. You were told this is who you are, and you believed it. You built a life around that lie. You protected it with pride. You decorated it with accomplishments. You defended it when challenged, and you feared losing it more than you feared death itself. But listen carefully. That self, that story, is not you. It never was. It is a character, a role, a costume. You've worn it for so long that you've forgotten what your skin feels like without it. And now, when I come and say, remove the mask, you panic. Because if you are not your name, not your profession, not your desires, not your past, not your beliefs, then who are you? That question terrifies you, and rightly so. Because it requires a kind of death. Not physical death, but psychological death. The death of the I you've worshipped, the death of the false center around which your entire life revolves. And so you resist. You cling to identity like a drowning man clings to a piece of debris in the ocean. Even if that identity brings you suffering, it's familiar. Even if it limits you, at least you know who you are. That's the mind's argument. But truth doesn't care about your comfort. It doesn't negotiate with your ego. It doesn't care how long you've been building your false self. It will tear it down in an instant, like a wave swallowing a sandcastle. This is why true awakening is so rare. Because it is not about adding something new. It is about losing everything false. Not adding a spiritual layer to your ego, but removing all layers until nothing remains. Nothing, and yet everything. Because when the false self dies, what remains is not absence, but presence. A presence beyond words, beyond identity, beyond fear. It is vast, still, and indestructible. It is who you really are. But it cannot be grasped by the mind. It can only be lived, moment to moment, in silence, in attention, in deep honesty. So if you want truth, don't come asking for comfort. Don't ask me to make your life better. Don't ask me to help you achieve your dreams. I am not here to help you succeed in sleep. I am here to wake you up. And that means pulling away your crutches. That means holding a mirror to your face when you are most vulnerable. That means watching you break so that something real can be born. It is not cruelty. It is compassion, the highest kind. The world will offer you pleasure. It will offer you approval, love, success, distraction. I offer you the void. Because only when you face the void do you discover the real. So come, die before you die, and you will know what it means to be truly alive.
You've heard the words. You've felt the silence between them. You've seen the mirror held before you. Now, there is no turning back. You stand at a crossroads, not tomorrow, not someday, now. In this very moment, you are faced with the only real choice life ever offers: to remain asleep or to wake up. No one else can make it for you. No guru, no teacher, no method, no system, no divine power. You must choose. Not once, but in every breath, every thought, every action. And make no mistake, awakening is not a one-time event. It's not a sudden explosion of light followed by eternal bliss. It is a relentless confrontation with the truth over and over. It is a willingness to see what is, not what you wish were true, not what comforts you, not what others tell you. It means being alone, utterly alone, with the raw, naked fact of your existence. It means watching your desires rise and letting them pass, watching your fears crawl up your spine and not reacting, watching the mind try to claim, define, control, and simply seeing it as it is. This is the real revolution, not in society, but in the self, not in overthrowing governments or reforming systems, but in dismantling the lies within. A revolution of awareness, a quiet, invisible uprising where the false crumbles in silence and truth, uninvited, takes its place. But here's what you need to know. No one will applaud you for this. There is no applause in the inner world. There is no certificate, no stage, no spiritual badge to wear. Just you, awake in a world that sleeps. You'll walk among people who are still dreaming, still chasing, still defending, still performing, and you'll feel the pull to join them again and again. But something in you will resist. Something in you will remain rooted, still, clear. That something is your essence. That something is not born and does not die. It has no name, no face, no history. It simply is. And when you live from that place, everything changes. Not outside, but within. You can still go to work, talk to friends, eat dinner, fall in love. But now, everything is done from presence, not from conditioning. From stillness, not from hunger. This is what freedom looks like. Not escaping the world, but being fully in it, untouched, unshaken, undivided. So I ask you now, will you wake up? Will you stop running? Will you stop lying to yourself? Will you stop postponing the only thing that truly matters? You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know how. You just need to stop pretending. Start with a breath, a pause, a single moment of radical honesty. Because that's where it begins. Here, now, always. Wake up.